In the northernmost edge of Hyrule, beyond Zora's domain, lies Snowpeak, hiding Hyrule's most imposing ruin, and within it a mysterious coat of arms. Once a center of power and military might, in the coldest of the kingdom's outposts. Over time, it lost its intended purpose and became the perfect gift to the natives of this mountain range. They are what keeps the legacy of the former hosts alive. But what is the true story and key people behind the finest of orders? Let's uncover it together after you leave a like, subscribe and press notification bell. We're aiming for 2,000 likes. Twilight Princess marks Zelda creator Shigeru Miyamoto's last trial to Eiji Aonuma before passing down the Master Sword.
The Knights of Hyrule, the noble class that once frequented the halls of the Great Structure, which by the end of the Twilight era was partially in ruins and inhabited by Yeti. Though to find the root of this mystery, we need to get back to the prior games in the timeline. Skyloft's Knight Academy was founded 25 years prior to Skyward Sword by its headmaster Gapora. First, during the Civil War, the Order returned, including with the Hero of Time's father as Hyrule Historia hinted to, and with the return of the key symbol of the Knights. The Hylian shield, which in both Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess are also relics left behind by a now defunct elite order. This order, however, was succeeded by a worse city garrison which has failed to defend Hyrule's capital in every instance.
In both cases, the Hero of Time with the blood of the Knight Order is the catalyst to the return of the Order. Death or victory. A return to the past with the Triforce of Courage, splitting up the complete Triforce. The source of the refounding of the Order has never been confirmed in-game or by any of the official books. But luckily, Snowpeak Ruins, within the original GameCube version and Wii U Remaster, include 3 pieces, or more specifically, 2 portraits and 1 crest that give us a hint. Our Triforce though is a little turned around, as power and wisdom in this case leads to courage or the Knight Order. Let's begin with the Triforce of Wisdom. Rauru, the Light Sage who was the right man to secure Hyrule peace after the Interloper War, almost tore it apart. He oversaw the construction of the Temple of Time and sealed himself with the Triforce in the sacred realm of the Chamber of Sages. It has been theorized whether he remained dead or alive through this process, but I will be honest, I believe he remained alive, freezing himself until the moment the Triforce would be in danger. That being Ganondorf's revenge plot, and Rauru took the form of an owl, Gaepora Gaebora. Indeed, the potential bloodline descendant of Gaepora. And yes, he's the Triforce of Wisdom here for a reason. We all know what happens from here in both the adult and downfall timelines with the hero, but the child timeline is different.
Here, the experienced Link returns from the adult branch back into his child form. Still, he had earned the Triforce of Courage and it follows him from the parallel timeline branch. As a consequence, Rauru in the Chamber of Sages has nothing left to guard, and with time left to live after preserving himself, he leaves the chamber entirely. This is likely prior to Ganondorf's invasion, as detailed in Twilight Princess's Arbiter's Grounds flashback. The Gerudo attack followed after the Hero of Time's departure from Hyrule. During this offensive, 2 locations were lost: Lon Lon Ranch and Hyrule Castle and Town with the Temple of Time. Now it is unclear when Rauru might have left the chamber, becoming an advisor to the King of Hyrule, and possibly even after his death if he fell with his capital, Zelda with Impa. Here is the thing though, central Hyrule fell as we know from the ruins of the Temple of Time, and the layout of the old castle town in Twilight Princess's Sacred Grove. This would force the remnant military survivors to relocate to their Zora royal allies at the source of the Zora River. Here, they and the now militarizing Zora halted the Gerudo advance, though the Zora's domain was too small to host the Kingdom of Hyrule's hope.
As a result, Rauru, now Zelda's key mentor, might have convinced King Zora to offer the land of Snowpeak to re-establish the defunct Knight Order of the Kingdom, the unit that had once forced Ganondorf to fealty during the Civil War. And here's the thing. All signs point to the Gerudo Hylian War being a lengthy conflict which lasted for at least a few years. Rauru was likely instrumental, along with Princess Zelda, in the construction of a new Knight Academy, and within it something else, which we'll get back to. His final duty to Hyrule. The Sage of Light is the prime representation of knowledge and wisdom in Hyrule, a person who makes the right decisions in times of crisis.
Giant complexes like this Knight Academy and training grounds of Snowpeak don't just get built overnight. It takes years, which was fine for Rauru, who needed to find the right candidates that could be trained for their intended purpose. During this time, Princess Zelda would also grow to become an adult, much like Rauru oversaw Link in the adult and downfall branches of the timeline, connecting the world of Hyrule to two chosen children, Link and Zelda both taken care of by Rauru after their initial defeat to Ganondorf in central Hyrule. Rauru is the one that sets them on the path to reclaim Hyrule from the King of the Gerudo, and in the case of Twilight Princess, we would have no indication of this unless his portrait was found throughout Snowpeak Ruins, both in the original version from 2006 and the remaster of 2016. Rauru is the key to it. The difference is the location that the hero and the princess set out from with their new blades, or in the case of Zelda, her rapier. Link does it from the Temple of Time, the only building left standing in Castletown, while Zelda might have done it from Snow Peak. This brings us to where the princess of the era of the Hero of Time and heir to the ruined throne likely stayed while in exile from her capital in the child timeline. This would be the central tower of Snowpeak Ruins, and what is found inside it? A chamber of true royal stature.
What I believe was Zelda's bedroom. You see, symbolism is key to this chamber, just as it is for the multiple bedrooms of the princess that we have gotten used to since Twilight Princess. Located in a tower above any other section of the mansion. And guess what? The symbol of the two rapiers in front of the crest is found in Zelda's chamber or castle tower in the new capital, though only in the HD version of the game. Speaking of, within Snowpeak Ruins, we find an elaborate, equally royal in stature chapel, where the royals and the noble knights in training would likely join in prayer. At the same time, Zelda's personal chamber could have served a dual function, as it appears to be both a bedroom and an office. Most likely a meeting place for her with Rauru, who handled day-to-day operations as the headmaster, just like his potential ancestor Gaepora did before him. That is right, Rauru might be part of the royal family, and he might have honored this fact by naming his owl persona Gaepora Gaebora. At the same time, he was born in ancient times, and is much closer related to the first dad of a Zelda than Princess Zelda of the era of the Hero of Time. He is part of the royal family, but dating back to before the founding of the kingdom. A reversal of what is the case with the time-traveling Princess Zelda to a totally different King Rauru in Tears of the Kingdom. Then you have Aru, an NPC in Twilight Princess that looks pretty much just like Rauru, only a younger version. He's balding, he wears similar attire, and his facial features are almost identical. Seeing how celebrated Rauru is throughout Twilight Princess, whether that be statues, paintings, especially in Twilight Princess HD, there's a possibility that there is a line here of ancestors in Gaepora, middle that being Rauru himself, and then a descendant in Aru.
It all comes together like poetry. As the founder and first headmaster of the New Knight Academy, Rauru would naturally be commemorated with paintings, as is tradition in academic institutions. He oversaw the training and preparation of the new knights and something more sinister. The Dark Hammer, whose Celtic theorized back in 2020 were the true brute force to be used in times of crises, along with the beings who clad the giant armor decorating the mountain fortress. Seeing how easily the Hylians lost to the initial Gerudo invasion and torching of the home of the Hylians, Rauru and Zelda of the era of Hero of Time must have seen the need for something stronger, not only to force Ganondorf to fealty, but to be defeated and thrown into chains. Enter the Dark Hammer, the lizard beast likely tamed by Hyrule's new elite to unleash against Ganondorf. Raised and trained to servitude in shining armor and excelling with the ball and chain, as Link got to experience. With probable Zora military assistance and newly trained knights on horseback and, of course, literal tanks in the form of Dark Hammers, they destroyed Ganondorf's forces. First in Hyrule Field, and then in the Gerudo Desert, capturing the Gerudo King alive. Naturally, we all know how this ended, the several year-long transformation of the Spirit Temple into the Arbiter's grounds, Hyrule's most notorious prison and execution site. Rauru fulfilled his task, bringing back central Hyrule to the rule of the blood of Hylia, just like he contributed to Link in the adult branch of the timeline. The triumphant Zelda becomes queen and decides to relocate the capital north. But what about the Hero of Time?
Might have joined the Knight Order of Courage sometime after the Triforce of Power resonated from Ganondorf. Hence the Hero Shade who teaches the Hero of Twilight the secret techniques. The Hero of Time most likely died in battle, but became the Hero Shade as Ganondorf remained out there. hence why the Hero of Twilight is the bloodline descendant of the Hero of Time, as established by Hyrule history. The Hero of Time left behind children, who again would have their own children, to one day fulfill the task of bringing down Ganondorf. Alright, we have a very clear Rauru of wisdom and light, founding and heading this institution of courage. But what about the element of power? And this brings us to the other portraits depicting a person inside Snowpeak Ruins, that of a young Zora royal. In the entrance hall, it hangs on the left side to Rauru. But who is it? Twilight Princess HD confirmed that it depicts the ruler of the Zora Kingdom when the knights abandoned the mansion, Queen Rutella. Meaning that while Rauru's portrait remained, the Zora portraits were replaced when a new Zora royal ascended the throne, until the order left the mansion for good before Queen Rutella's death during Zan's and Ganondorf's invasion.
The land was leased to the knights, in particular after the war was won and the training of Darkhammers was moved to the Ice Cavern. How do we know this? Well, this is because the Frozen Hall in North Hyrule Field is draped both in the Knight's Crest and the Royal Crest. Upon completion of the new castle right south, they might also have been delivered as the bodyguards of the royal family until they dissolved the Knight Order that the Darkhammers were a part of, abandoning the mountain fortress sometime after the King of the Zora and the husband of Queen Rutella passed away, hence why her portrait still remains along with all the other paintings including the city in the sky, which was a secret of the royal family and their knights. Naturally, Zora lived very long, but this happened after the birth of the Zora Prince Rallis, at the latest a Hylian generation ago, more likely during Twilight Zelda's father, the King of Hyrule's reign. This could have also happened when Ashai's father served the royal family as a knight from Snowpeak. We have the following statement from Ashai to build upon our claim. Quote, "I grew up in the mountains with my father, who was a knight in his own right. He taught me the arts of war as though I was his son." End quote. Pointing to that, Hyrule managed to replace knights with regular and far less courageous soldiers once again just a few years prior to Ganondorf's attacks, a fact that Ashai also recalls. Listen, sorry I was so nasty the other day. I thought you were like those sorry excuses for Hyrule soldiers, but I thought wrong.
End quote. One generation is all it took to ruin Hyrule's defenses and cause Snowpeak to fall into disrepair and be taken over by Yeto and Yeta. The royal family of Hyrule truly is their own greatest enemy, outwitted time and time again by Ganondorf. Fortunately for Princess Zelda of the era of Twilight, the Hero of Time's long-term plan of a bloodline descendant materialized in the form of the Hero of Twilight, including with the inherited Triforce of Courage, and he surpassed all of them. In Snowpeak Ruins, he overcomes Darkhammer and then Blizzetta, bringing back Yeta for the most heartwarming conclusion to a boss fight, perhaps in the entire series. But what do you think happened? Did the knights controlling the Darkhammers retake Hyrule from Ganondorf and the Gerudo? And did the dissolution of their order bring doom to Hyrule? Sound off in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press notification bell, as we have more Zelda videos like this one planned in this Greatest Mystery series. A big thanks goes to you for watching, and to all our patreon.com/CommonRealm patrons. Special shoutouts go to Raw producers Zach Johnson and JC Funk, and heroes Holly Wolf, Cheryl and Garrett Hall. You rock, and please enjoy one or both of these two awesome videos.